All right, let's welcome in Nick Gillard from the Back of the Nest podcast, which is obviously part of the talkSPORT fan network. Nick, really appreciate you coming on. Thank you very much. Before we talk about Michael Olise, let's talk about Wilfred Zaha. He's now officially left. He's joined Galatasaray. Obviously, look, you're going to be disappointed because he's been your star man for so long, right? At times, watching Crystal Palace, it felt like he was it's like a one-man show. It felt like he was the only player that could save the club. That's not the case anymore, but you must be disappointed that he's gone.
I am disappointed. It's a bit galling that he was offered a 4-year deal at Palace and more money. So he's obviously after the Champions League. And I saw a video earlier of him looking in the Galatasaray trophy room. And the amount of silver in there is unbelievable. And I know Palace were talking about having a museum in the new stand if it ever gets built, and I think it'd be about as big as my lounge for what we've won. But to be perfectly honest, I think it's time for him to go. He's 30 now. He's getting injured a lot. 200k a week, although that's not Mbappe's type money, could go a long way in getting other players to come to the club and be at the club. But he's been a fantastic servant, and the post he put on social media yesterday almost brought a tear to the eye. But the fact that we've got that massive great mural on a house outside Selhurst Park kind of showed that, not the writing on the wall, but the picture was on the wall, because you don't have a monument to somebody who's still there, do you? So I think Palace fans kind of knew it was going to happen, and it needed to be dealt with quickly because it was so up in the air.
Yeah. Nick, how good do you think Wilfred Zaha is? Ade and I were just having a conversation, and I think we both rate him. We both rate him very highly. I think that he is certainly capable of playing for a team that maybe want to be in the Champions League, or maybe one of the clubs that are in the Champions League. Ade seems to think that he could compete at the very top. Just how good do you think Wilfred Zaha is?
Oh, no doubt he's a Champions League player, but he's definitely peaked. Definitely peaked. He's on a downward trajectory. He's not as quick as he used to be. And Palace are in a new place now. We've got Eze, we've got Olise, we'll talk about Olise in a bit, but we've got 3 England players.
Yeah.
Our tactics have gone from when Roy was last here, give the ball to Wilf, because that was our only option. We've got give the ball to Olise, give the ball to Eze, even give the ball to Ayew.
Yeah.
So and the last few games of the season when he was injured, we were brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And I know we can talk about how Vieira had a difficult run of matches and, we didn't do so well in those. But the attitude of the players on Roy Part 2 was so much better that I'm not that worried about him going. And I wish him all the best. I've always wanted him to see him play for a top team. Galatasaray was a bit left field. There were the Fenerbahce rumours, weren't there, last week? But yeah, all the best to him.
Yeah, look, there was a time, and to add to what Rory said, there was a time when I thought he could have played and started for any team in Europe. I thought he was that special. Maybe about 2-3 seasons ago, when he had the pace, he was scoring, running past players. He's always got a trick. He'll drop a shoulder, and you rarely see players run past players nowadays. You just don't see it anymore. Everyone seems to cut inside, don't they? So, I thought it was really good, and it's a shame for Palace that they got nothing for him. Like, again, 2 seasons ago, you could have sold him for 60-70 million quid. He's walked away for free, which is a bit of a shame. And look, let's talk about Olise, because I think Olise is just outstanding. And I'm not jumping on the bandwagon. I've watched clips of him when he was playing for Reading, and I thought he was unbelievable then as well. Great player, obviously plays for the France under-21s. Gareth must be having a word of him. Like, if he's not even getting to the French full squad, you must be trying to get him to get an England cap on him now, because I think he's going to be a special superstar. We're hearing there's a release clause of 35 million. You can't lose Olise and Zaha in the same window and only get 35 million for both.
Well, Darren Ambrose was on your station earlier saying that he knows somebody within the club who said there isn't a release clause. Last year, we got him to sign a new contract so that we could actually get rid of the release clause. But who knows? I was saying on our pod last night that Palace aren't a club that people go to win trophies. We're a stepping stone club, and we kind of knew at the time that we would be a stepping stone for him. So, my favourite memory of Olise, he hasn't gone yet, but was his performance at Millwall in the Cup a couple of seasons ago. He just made them look ridiculous.
Yeah, he was amazing. How are you feeling about the forthcoming season, Nick? Are you thinking that you're going to be okay? Obviously, you ended last season on a high. You played some electrifying football. And going into this new season now, although you're going to lose Zaha, are you generally feeling quite confident?
I'm in there are three worse teams than us camp at the moment.
Wow.
We shall see. It's difficult with we never know. We don't know what we're going to get with Roy, because Roy went stale towards the end of his last tenure at the club. It's a bit weird that you have a manager that gets a 1-year contract. That never really happens. I think a lot of it depends on whether we bring anybody in. The fact that we've got 3 England players, whether we lose people, because there's talk about Anderson, possibly even Gay has been mentioned as going. But we've also had talk that we might be signing Liverpool. Yeah. So, who knows? Until September the 1st, when the window shuts, it's going to be a very, very difficult one to call, I think. But Roy's got us playing really well, albeit against, none of the top 10 teams. So we shall see. Yeah,
you mentioned Jordan Ayew there in terms of sort of your goals. Obviously, Ayew, he works a lot. He reminds me a bit of Antonio I think he's a better finisher than Antonio, but he's a workhorse up front. I don't think he gets enough goals, does Ayew. Potentially, Elise, for now, he's there, but potentially he could go. Zaha going as well. It's a lot of goals you're missing up front. A lot of goals. Well,
yeah, Elise's out for a few weeks anyway because of that hamstring tour when he was playing for the under-21. So we're going to be without him anyway. We've got Raksaki, who did remarkably well at Charlton last year. He was their player of the season, which was really amusing for us Palace fans who still remember Charlton fans singing "You'll Never Play Us Again" when they sent us down, and look where they are now. But so we've got to survive without him anyway. Schlupp's had a renaissance under Roy since he's come back. He seems to know what he's doing more. We've got Decor in midfield, who is just one of the best midfielders I've seen at Palace since
Liverpool sniffing around him.
Yeah, but it's press talk, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
They've got to write about something. You've got to fill column inches and I was going to say Twitter. Is it X, or I don't know what to call it? Somebody told me they'd X'd something earlier, and I didn't have a clue what they were on about.
How much is he worth, Decore, do you think? Like, there's been a lot of talk, and I think Palace have basically put 80 million on his head. Is he that good? I mean, you watch him week in, week out. Yeah?
Yes, most definitely. He is as good, if not better, than Johan Cabaye, but not quite in the Lombardo League. So if you can put him somewhere between those two.
The bald eagle.
Lombardi, I love
the bald eagle. Amazing. So overall, though, going into the new season, I was surprised there when you said that there are 3 worse teams. Is that how you're venturing? Is that how you're feeling? Like, avoid relegation is the priority?
It always has been with Palace. We'd love to be in the top 10. Don't get me wrong, but Parish said earlier in the summer about teams in their 11th season in the Premier League. There were 10 teams that had lasted 10 seasons or more after promotion, but only 4 that had lasted 11. And I think there's a bit of jitters about it. You think back to Stoke, they spent about 10, 11 years in the Premier League. Southampton came up the season before us. So survival and to keep that run going would be good. But yes, the way we played last season in the last 10 games, we are capable of a top 10 finish.
Yeah.
And we didn't have Wilf. So, it all depends on who we keep hold of. I mean, that's going to be the big point, I think, there's been talk about we need to sell players in order to fund the new stand, even though we've told that money had already been ring-fenced. We've got issues around the ownership. We've got so many owners that that doesn't really help, and I'm not sure how well they all get on together. But we've got Dougie Freedman, who has pulled out some gems over the years in the signings brought in since he's been director of football. So, and I think Parish is playing his cards close to his chest, and he's also said in the past that 99% of what you hear especially the print media is just rubbish, and they don't know what they're writing about. So
he's right.
How true that is, I don't know.
Not what you hear on talkSPORT, but he's right in the print media, absolutely. Nick Gillard, appreciate it,
I was careful to say that.
Cheers, Nick. Thanks for coming on. Top man. Nick Gillard there from the Back of the Nest podcast. I like Crystal Palace. I've actually got a bit of a soft spot for Palace. I like the football they play. I do. Yeah, I like the football they play, and they give youngsters a chance as well.
It's a great ground as well. It's like very old, traditional. I like the away end there. Gets soaked. Seen Willian score a blinder from that away end. Yeah. But no, it is. Yeah, they're a good
right
club.
Though. He's right. I mean, it could go very bad for them very, very quickly.
I know.
It did under Vieira.
But I do think surely off the back of the way that they finished last season, I'm slightly surprised. I thought Nick might be a little bit more optimistic.
I think they feel deflated. You lose Zaha again. The talks of Elise, you've lost your talisman. And regardless if his legs go in, he's a bit slower.
Totally irreplaceable.
You've lost your talisman. Exactly.
On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app, and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.